I'm Anna Garcia, right now on True Crime News. Emotions run high at the Delphi murder trial. Libby's mom breaking down as she hears her daughter's final words, the suspect's shocking admission, and what else was on the teen's phone.
He jumped my friend and he's knocked out on the ground.
How many was it?
Like 15.
Then a Halloween party turns into a real night of horror.
Our child will never be coming home, and we need to prevent this from ever happening again.
And this wasn't the first attack.
My son was struck in the skull with brass knuckles.
Cops in Gilbert, Arizona had been struggling to control the chaos for over a year before the Gilbert Goons mob violence turned deadly. Plus, she was 21, in love and pregnant with her basketball star boyfriend's baby. Then Kelsey Shelling disappeared without a trace.
It is every second of every day. She never leaves my thought.
The only clues, ATM video of a man taking money from her bank account and someone moving her car. I'm in Colorado chasing down that main person of interest.
Hey, Dante, she was carrying your baby, Dante.
Your daily source for true crime starts right now. Thanks for joining us. Let's get right to our top story, the trial of Richard Allen, accused of killing Abby Williams and Libby German in Delphi, Indiana. Their families forced to witness their final moments that were captured on cell phone video. Inside this Carroll County courthouse in Delphi, Indiana, a jury is finally hearing details about the deaths of 13-year-old Abigail Williams and her best friend, 14-year-old Liberty German, as Richard Allen, the man charged with killing them, stands trial. The families of the girls hearing gut-wrenching details about how Liberty and Abigail were killed. Liberty was naked and covered in blood. The throats of both girls were slit. Abigail was wearing her own undershirt, but Liberty's sweatshirt. One of Liberty's shoes and her cell phone were found beneath Abigail's body.
I believe if Libby didn't take that video, I wonder if he would ever be caught. We knew nothing, not the cause of death, not any more details.
Veteran journalist Susan Hendricks has written a book titled Down the Hill and has been inside the courtroom every day covering the trial.
When they were brutally murdered, we always heard that, right? Even though we didn't know the cause of death.
Investigators have held details about this brutal murder close to the vest, releasing very little about the case in 7 years. This photograph of Abigail Williams was taken from Liberty's phone as the two 8th grade best friends went on a hike near the Monon High Bridge, one of the few pieces of evidence released.
I could hear the cries, and it was just really excruciating.
For the families of the girls listening to this dramatic testimony from detectives about Allen's recorded interviews, Allen insisting he's not the killer.
He said, "There's nothing that you have that will connect me."
And much of the testimony so far points out that there is no DNA connecting Allen to the crime scene or anyone else.
There's no male connected to that. So someone killed these girls and their DNA just isn't there. So it's not like they have another guy, not Richard Allen. It's like, did the person who killed these girls have on gloves? I don't even have the answer. And that's what is another bizarre twist in it.
And these 3 words, down the hill, heard on the video captured on Liberty's phone before her death, were the words said by this man, seen in the grainy image alleged to be Richard Allen, the man charged with killing them. Investigators say the video is key to their case.
This young lady is a hero to have a presence of mind to make sure she's activating a video system on this phone in order to capture that voice.
Prosecutors played the entire 43 seconds of the video. One of the girls is heard saying, "There's no path here, so we've got to go down here." A man is then heard saying, "Guys," and you can hear the girls say, "Hi."
But to really hear and to hear the fear, that's what was tough for me. You see Abby walking on the bridge, and you see Abby jump down, and Libby's ahead. And he said, like, "Don't leave me here. Where are you going? The path doesn't go down here. We have to go this way."
Hendricks says on the recording, the girls say they see a gun.
I believe 100% that that person on the bridge had a gun and got those girls to comply and go down the hill because they were petrified.
But as Hendricks says, after listening to the Down the Hill recording thousands of times, hearing his voice in those interviews struck her.
As I shut my eyes, and as soon as I heard it, it was the voice. I don't think it's me wanting to know that that was his voice, because I expected to not. But I will tell you, immediately I thought, that's the guy.
Prosecutors charged Allen based in part on an unspent bullet found between the two girls that they say matches a gun Allen owns. And investigators say Allen has admitted over 60 times to killing the girls in phone conversations to his wife from jail. Those confessions are expected later in testimony. Hendricks says one thing was clear after this week's testimony. Liberty's grandfather told her the girls protected each other, staying close until they died.
He said, in my eyes, both girls were heroes. They loved each other. I believe they could have had a chance to run or leave each other's side, and they never did. And that always stuck with me.
We will continue to bring you updates on the trial here on True Crime News and on our website, truecrimenews.com. When we come back, a mob of out-of-control teens terrorize a neighborhood outside of Phoenix, and then the violence turns deadly. That's next. We begin in Gilbert, Arizona, an affluent suburban community near Phoenix. That's where a gang of teens who call themselves the Gilbert Goons have been running wild, recording themselves savagely attacking random victims and then posting their videos on social media. The bedlam went on for more than a year until the violence turned deadly.
You're watching a disturbing trend in the Phoenix, Arizona suburbs. Young teens ganging up to beat random victims at fast food restaurants, in parks, at parties, and other locations where high school students gathered.
My son turned his back to them to get in his car and was struck in the skull with brass knuckles.
They call themselves the Gilbert Goons, named after the city of Gilbert, Arizona, as they troll the town, relentlessly punching, kicking, and using weapons, leading to angry parents and community leaders who say police and prosecutors aren't in control or making enough arrests.
It is irresponsible to the community, and it is completely harmful to the victims. You're done.
For more than a year, police have struggled to control the violence from the gang of about 20 upper middle-class teens from multiple area high schools. Then it turned deadly.
911 emergency. Hey, I'm at a party. And
What's going on? Take a deep breath.
There's a bunch of people out here with guns and they just jumped my friend and he's knocked out on the ground. One of my friends broke his wrist. The other one's knocked out on the ground.
Okay.
I'm scared.
It was supposed to be a fun Halloween party for 16-year-old Preston Lord and his friends when police say a group of random teens showed up and wanted to steal a gold chain. Fox 10 Phoenix reporter Justin Lum has been covering the growing violence residents had been complaining to police about for months.
Preston Lord and his friends were on the way out, and this chain became the focus of the suspects. And as Preston Lord tried to basically defend his friend and prevent that from happening, that's when the attack took place.
I don't know the people that are here. We don't have any beef with them or anything.
Did you see the people that assaulted them?
They all had ski masks on, and it was...
How many was it?
A lot.
Like 4 or 5 or more?
Like 15.
The gang brutally beat Preston, who was rushed to a nearby hospital.
Preston was unconscious in the hospital for 2 days before he was finally pronounced dead.
He was a son, a brother, and a friend.
Preston's death would become the tipping point, his family demanding that something be done to stop the violence that took their son.
The devastating loss of Preston's life was due to unnecessary violence. Our child will never be coming home, and we need to prevent this from ever happening again.
We are going to be relentless about this, and we're not going to stop until we have everybody in custody.
But bringing the mob to justice would be a challenge.
It's not as easy as people think. These videos have been circulated time and time again. For police, the challenge is locating that source of that video taken, identifying the person that was involved or the persons that are involved.
After Preston's murder, his parents were joined by other residents who had been affected by the so-called Gilbert Goons.
My son, who was 16 at the time, was a victim of a gang-style attack. He immediately felt blood gushing down his head and back, but was able to get in his car and leave to get help.
The victims and their families deserve justice, and our youth deserve to feel safe.
Tonight we stand together.
Neighbors held vigils to remember honor student Preston Lord as a county attorney grew frustrated by some media reports that arrests for his death weren't coming.
You are telling the community that you cannot trust the efforts of this office. This office is pouring in hours and resources to this. But there are also family members out there. There is a real 16-year-old kid who lost his life.
We now have an active investigation in collaboration with our law enforcement partners to determine if the Gilbert Goons can be classified under Arizona law as a criminal street gang.
Police continued their work, and several months after Preston Lord was beaten to death,
Today, a grand jury has indicted 4 people in the murder of Preston Lord.
7 people were eventually charged in Preston's death, including a suspect in another Gilbert Goons case.
One of these 7 suspects, William Hines, connected to another assault in Gilbert at an In-N-Out parking lot where another victim months prior to this was attacked and actually had internal damage to his kidney.
Then more crackdowns as police make several arrests in a number of different cases. Now, as the 7 indicted in Preston's case face a judge, Preston's family attends their hearings, holding out hope that all the senseless violence will soon come to an end.
It was a deliberate attack on Preston. It wasn't just a couple kids throwing punches. It was an attack on him that took his life, and they should be held accountable for his death.
All 7 of the suspects were charged with first-degree murder and kidnapping in Preston Lord's death. The case is set to go to trial next summer. Meanwhile, Preston's family has filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the parents of those charged. We will keep you posted on this case here and on truecrimenews.com. When we come back, a basketball star expecting a baby with his girlfriend. Now he's tangled up in a murder mystery, and I want answers.
I want to talk to you about Kelsey. She was carrying your baby, Dante.
When Kelsey Shelling, a beautiful young mom-to-be, went missing, somehow her family just knew that she was dead. And they were convinced they knew who did it, but without Kelsey's body, could they prove it? I went to Colorado to investigate.
She was just always very spirited and just full of life. I mean, from the time she was a little girl up until the time that she went missing.
Kelsey's mother, Laura, can barely hold back the tears. Her beloved daughter disappeared less than 2 weeks before her 22nd birthday.
Your heart must be in pieces.
It is. Every second of every day. She never leaves my thoughts.
Kelsey's piercing hazel eyes could make anyone's heart melt. Beautiful eyes. But Kelsey had eyes for only one man, 6'8" basketball star Dante Lucas. They met in junior college.
She was smitten. I knew she was smitten with him.
And then the unexpected happened. She was pregnant. What was Dante's reaction?
According to Kelsey, he was very upset.
On a February morning, Kelsey went to the doctor for an ultrasound. This is a sonogram of the baby. Kelsey was so excited she texted the picture to her mom and even shared it with Dante and his mother.
Unfortunately, I never got to talk to her again.
Her parents say Dante texted Kelsey asking her to meet him that night. She left work at 8:41 p.m.
I called Dante right away, to ask him if he knew where she was, and he had said that he had seen her and that they got in a fight. And, I said, we can't find her. I said, she's missing. And then shortly after that, I hear back from him, and he's like, well, Kelsey just called me from a private number. She said she lost her phone and that she'll be getting a hold of you soon.
Police soon learned Kelsey didn't disappear in Denver. She was last seen 150 miles away in Dante's hometown of Pueblo. Pueblo Police Captain Eric Bravo was the detective in charge of the case.
I believe Dante is responsible.
Dante told cops he asked Kelsey to meet at their so-called special place just down the street from his house. He says she wasn't feeling well, so he took her to this hospital and then to this Walmart where they sat and talked. But the surveillance video from that Walmart seems to contradict Dante's story. It shows Kelsey's car pulling into a parking spot around 12 noon. Dante is the only one seen getting out. Then at 7:19 the next morning, 18 hours later, the camera catches a tall, thin, mysterious man in a gray hoodie walking to Kelsey's car. And do you have any idea who moved that car?
I think it was Dante.
8 days later, cops found it abandoned in the parking lot of a different hospital with no sign of Kelsey.
And the first question I asked was, is she in the trunk? Because I didn't know. And they said, no, she wasn't in the trunk. And I'm like, there's no sign of her. No, there's no sign of her.
Police say this bank surveillance footage shows Dante at a drive-through ATM taking $400 from Kelsey's account. So they arrest him for identity theft.
You have the right to me, sir.
Dante told police that he brought Kelsey here to Parkview Medical Center because she wasn't feeling well. He says that she was inside for about 2 hours, and when she came out, she was no longer pregnant. A couple of problems with that story. Hospital officials say they have no record of Kelsey being here, and their security cameras back that up. The identity theft charge was dropped when it's revealed Kelsey had given Dante permission to use her debit card and even gave him her PIN. Police cut Dante loose, and with Kelsey still missing, time begins to run out to find her safe and sound.
I believe he did kill Kelsey.
I tried to contact Dante, but we couldn't reach him, so we went to his house looking for answers.
Hey, Dante!
We found Dante leaving the home he shares with his mother.
Hey, Dante, can I talk to you a second? We want to talk to you about Kelsey Shelling. Dante, I want to talk to you about Kelsey. She was carrying your baby, Dante.
He drove off, not saying a word.
8 years after Kelsey Shelling went missing, Dante was finally arrested, charged, and tried for murder, even without the body being found. He was found guilty and sentenced to life in prison.
So what is there left for you to do now?
I'll keep searching. I couldn't stop if I wanted to. I couldn't.
Dante appealed his conviction, but he lost. Kelsey's body has never been found. We'll be right back. On the next True Crime News.
Hi, I'm Suzanne.
A popular couple, their seemingly perfect life until the wife vanishes, turning the spotlight on their marriage.
She called me up and told me the things that Brad had done to her physically.
Multiple searches in a landfill and the woods, 2 arrests. Yet still, there's no sign of Suzanne.
We will not stop until we find her.
Could her husband's text hold the key to her missing mystery? On the next True Crime News. For the latest breaking crime news, go to truecrimenews.com. Watch more exclusive content on our YouTube channel, listen to our podcast, and follow us at My True Crime News. That's it for today's True Crime News. I'm Anna Garcia. See you next time, everyone. Crime doesn't stop, neither do we.